Morning, how are you today? As you can see, it's a real foggy morning this morning. It's about 9 o'clock, but it looks like 7 o'clock in the morning here in the middle of the winter. I thought I'd show you our Alpine Garden. It's looks quite good with this bit of fog around, so let's go for a little walk. The entrance into it through this little secret path, so the only way in and out is via other gardens. So we come in here, I've got hedges on the right, Podocarpus totra matapuri blue. It's a version of the New Zealand totra. There's a ground covers throughout this little area. Got Hebe quicksilver, which has little mauve flowers, but not for a while yet. So everything in this garden I have is sort of in the silver bluey hues, and it's there's conifers, there's natives, there's all sorts of things. It's not too crowded, but it's just to give a alpine look. And we've just got a split path going each side of various plants, just to make it quite a good little walkway through this garden, even though it's not particularly large. This is a Chemicyperus piscifera boulevard. It's interesting, it's quite tall, but it's not very wide. There's another one just down here I'll show you, and it's wider, so it's quite handy that this one has stayed narrow at this stage without having to trim it, because we can get left and right on the path. This is quite a neat little native. This is Raulia hookera. And if you look at those little leaves on there, it also gets little flowers on it. So the idea was to make it a secret kind of a garden, which is why I have these partial hedges on the right of it, using the totras just a bit higher than head height, just to make it a little enclosed area. Little pice here in the middle, more Raulia. This tree was here when it was still grass, so that's a Cedrus atlantica glauca. So that was planted about 6 feet high. Possibly 8 years ago now. And then the Alpine Garden followed later on. It was actually during one of those COVID lockdowns that seemed to get imposed on us all the time that I made this garden. I parked my little truck I had at the time, got out my shovel and started digging. So I've gone down, come down the slope, and each section comes down about a foot or so, and then I just So we can tip that somewhere else on the property. So I just created a garden, which was quite fun. Sort of knew roughly how wide I was going to have the garden and obviously how long it was going to be, but depth I just started digging. Just coming down the slope with it. There's that other large Coniferous Passifera boulevard there. So you can see that's probably 4 feet wide. And that one's probably 2 feet wide. So I don't know why, but it is, and it's quite handy. Got some Hinawera stone slab seat from Hinawera Quarry, which is near Matamata. It's further up the Waikato area. And then I did some work for a friend who has a farm, and they had a whole lot of spare old slabs that you'd use for kitchen benches and things lying around. So I was fortunate to be able to take some of them and stand them up in the garden. Now with the plants around them, they've really settled in. The idea was that since we're a volcanic area, I guess we still are, we once, obviously a long time ago, it was a volcano at Taupo, but it was still a volcanic area, volcanic plateau. These were sort of tectonic plates was kind of my thought behind those. So just jutting up out of the ground. So then to leave the garden, you come back out through a sneaky little entrance back into the bottom of our lower Japanese garden, which we'll look at another day. So I've just come round outside the Alpine Garden. That was that little path I was just going through over there. So I've just snuck out here. I added this part about maybe September last year, so I haven't got to get some mulch or stones on the ground yet. So this is an extension of the Alpine Garden. So although these conifers and those toteras form sort of informal occasional barriers or hedges, you'll still see through to this extension that I've done. So I've got some Marlborough daisies that I propagated a few years ago, and it's actually probably twice the size it was from when I put it in September. It's got a cage because I don't want any trouble from rabbits or hares till it gets a little bigger. Then I'll set it free and it'll be fine. They're amazingly, they're quite slow growers. But they've got such a nice leaf and flower. We've got a few large ones that are flowering. Well, and some of them are flowering, they're finished now. So this one tried to keep that alpine grey-blue feel that alpine plants are often associated with. I did slip in a few upright conifers, a lot of these Hebes. I guess the trick was to keep things a little bit sparse, not too overcrowded or bushy. And just a few more rocks and some covering on the ground through here, and this garden will be fine. Leads off into that area I planted the other day, which we'll look at another day through there. Yeah, so there's the original Alpine Garden in there, which may get a little stepping stone through somewhere just to get into it from this garden. That's looking back down this new one. Hey, it's the next day now, but I thought I'd tack on to this video that we're making. Just a shot of a conifer garden we've got that I planted a few years back now, maybe 5 years ago. It's growing quite well. It's fairly well drained. I guess it gets some runoff water from the sprinklers in the nursery over summer, but other than that it's left to its own devices. The soil's not that good because it was a scrape out for the build site originally, so they're quite happy, I think, because they're not into rich soil. So I'll just show you what we got. They're growing quite well, and yeah, I was going to say, you could say they're a little neglected, but I think they're good. So let's show you what we got around here. We'll start with this little fella. It's a dwarf Hinoki cypress. So he's very small. Has actually grown, just doesn't look like it. We've got a couple of these in our lower Japanese garden, and they're a lot bigger. They're going well. They've been in a few years now. Chamaecyparis obtusa nana is their name. And there's a great orangey colour there. These are Thuya Rheingold. They get up, 1.5 metres high. So I've got a row of them along here. It's sort of quite symmetrical, the planting on this garden. I just put it in because I wasn't sure what to put on a dry bank, and they're going all right. So it's sort of making quite a collection. You don't necessarily have to have all your conifers together, but I just felt like having a conifer garden here a few years ago. These are called Chamaecyparis Southern Gold. These ones right here. I've just got two. I put another one at the end, way down there, just the other day, actually, last week. These get up about 3 metres, metre wide. Like the full sun and free draining. They're fairly hardy. Sort of got that green on them as well, haven't they? That greeny yellow. They're not a bright yellow like some of the others, like a Swain's Golden and stuff, which used to be the in thing back in the 70s. You still see them around. They're huge, big totems of yellow. But this is a little more subdued than that. Pinus mugo. Got 3 of them along here. They're sort of renowned for giving all sorts of shapes as well. There's a lot of cultivars of them available overseas, more than here. But as a straight Pinus mugo, that's what these were purchased as. But they're behaving differently. This little one here is about the size of a beach ball, and that one there is probably the size of I don't know, those big balls that you sit on when you're doing exercise. Whatever you call them, like a Pilates ball or something. But they're all mugos, so that's interesting that they're so much different from each other. I was going to show you this Coniferous Kaizuka. We call them Dr. Seuss trees. I call them a Dr. Seuss tree. It's Coniferous Kaizuka. They just go kind of all over the place. They're quite interesting. There's a couple of them in here. Yeah, so it's symmetrically planted. It's got the Grizzlinia hedge up in the background, which goes all right with them too. I've actually put some more Grizzlinias in through there. I'll take those grasses out eventually, just to give some shelter, just low shelter for the nursery up there. And up here we've got one of these and one at the other end. Chamaecyparis Boulevard, which is that real steely blue, which we've got a few of them around the property. They get up a couple of metres or so. And then I've got a couple of these through here. The Occidentalis ericoides. So they sort of take on winter colours as well. A lot of the conifers will take on a dark colour over winter, as have the Thuya Rhinegolds. They are an orangey sort of one, but they darken up for winter especially. And then I've just planted a few of the same but newer ones at the end here. So there's another Chemicypris Southern Gold. Got a couple of co-eyes in front. And then Thuya Rhinegold down here. Yeah, so that's our little conifer collection. There's plenty more up in the gardens that we've planted over the last few years, and quite a few just last year up in a big new area, which I will show you, but I'm just waiting. Probably we'll do that one spring or summer. Just want it to grow up a bit and come to life. It's looking good though. Oh, I thought I'd have to just show you this one as well. He's just in a little garden next to that maple garden. I can't remember the name of this one, but I'll get the name for you. So he's like a real little hairy one, that one. It's up on a bit of a standard. He's looking really good. Well, thanks for joining us. Having a look around again. Just a couple of gardens that I thought I'd show you what we have over winter. Things that are looking quite good. They don't change throughout the year, so they're quite good gardens. So if you're after something that lasts all year, there's those alpine plants and things that go through the whole year, and conifers, of course, they're evergreen and they last well. They usually, as a general rule, like free drainage and a bit of sun, kind of as a rough guide. I mean, there's thousands of them, so that's generalising, but that's about what they like. But you get various heights too with conifers, so you get evergreen, you get colour, and you can fill the smallest to the largest garden and mingle them in with some of the usual evergreen leafy type ones, and you can get quite a good look. Anyway, that's me, Jonathan, from North Island, New Zealand. Thanks for joining us. If you like what you've seen, click on the like and subscribe, find out the latest things coming out, and feel free to give a comment. Thanks a lot. See you later.